Okay. Hi to everyone, and welcome to the third uh, episode in the installment of the Nutrition Guide series. So we've already previously looked at food lists, and we've also looked at nutrition guidelines. And this one, we're going to look at recipe lists. Now, recipe list is just a variation of a meal plan. It does exactly what it says on the tin. It's a list of recipes designed to help educate and coach your clients on how to put together their weekly meals and structure their day-to-day eating. I do like recipe lists versus meal plans, but we'll have a chat about that in today's webinar, because recipe lists is a great way for you to actually coach, and that's the key thing. That's what we are. We're here to support our clients, and we need to make sure we're doing that. Okay, so in terms of what I'm going to go through today in terms of the webinar, we're going to start off by talking about what a recipe list is, a bit more about how you can create your own recipe list. We're then going to go through into the system where we use recipe lists, which starts off with a recap on completing the journal, moving into a recipe list assessment, and then moving into the technique itself and putting together a recipe list plan with your clients, and then finishing off that kind of system process of a continuous tracking support afterwards. After that, we'll take the time to go through any meal plans and how to use them, kind of the drawbacks and the limitation, also the benefits of using a meal plan over a recipe list, and then talk about the technique that I would use to coach a meal plan. And then at the end, if you've got any questions for me, open up the messaging box at the bottom, put the questions in the side, and I'll do my best to answer them as we go along. In terms of now, sort of talking about the recipe list itself. Okay, so I mentioned a bit about what the recipe list is. That is kind of, as it says on the tin, it's a list of recipes. In the guide, what you'll notice, there's 5 breakfast options, 5 lunch options, 5 dinner options, and 5 snack options. And it's just a list that people can use in various ways. Now, the 3 ways that I normally sort of see people using it, one is in a practical way. So they might already have their own way of eating and putting together their meal plans, but they might use it to give them ideas, learn how to structure their meals. So it has kind of a bit more of an indirect role than a direct role. The coaching system, that's more of the direct role. It's actually coaching your clients, tell them how to put together the information, the plans to actually do that. The final one is a supporting system. So the client will continue to eat the way they are, do the way they are, but they'll use the recipes to support, whether it's to add it ad hocly or actually just to inspire them to create their own versions of the recipes you've got in the guide or the ones that you have yourself. So in terms of that's kind of what the recipe list, who is the recipe list for is most of the more important ones. So which type of clients would you end up using a recipe list for? So if we take 3 categories I consider. So the first one is someone that has gone through the process. So they've adopted nutritional guidelines first. They're doing a majority of the time. They've started to include key foods from a balance of groups from the food list. But they're now at the stage where they need a little bit more direction, a little bit more detailed. They might have a really finite goal, so they've got that last stone that they want to lose, or they've got a real performance element. Then you might go into the recipe list technique itself to actually give that detail, to provide that structure they need, and also bring in some coaching strategies around nutrition to support it. Other than that, you could have an individual who hasn't got on the previous 2 techniques. So you try to give them guidelines to follow, then don't follow them. You try to tell them which foods to use select from the food list. They still revert back or change what they're eating. So because of that, what you might want to do is actually go in for a detailed approach to actually give someone the answers, give them the structure of, you must make sure you're eating these things, out of this breakfast or out of this for lunch. And you might have people that will prefer that will need the direct the pitch, the direct instructions of how to eat and just follow them or fail. So they might actually prefer that. I know a lot of people who are kind of different type of personality that gets on with most techniques, but are one of these ones that can do an all or nothing approach and change everything. So they might benefit from that as well. In terms of the final group of people that might actually benefit from this system, it's somebody that hasn't got any results yet. So they've tried guidelines and it's not there, tried food list, not there. So they might need you to go through and plan out their day-to-day, think about different breakfasts from what they're choosing, different lunches, upping something or changing something to suit the individual. And this is where a recipe list will allow you to do that. Now, based from that, when would we actually look to use the recipe list technique in sort of the timeline? So it kind of follows very similarly. So you could have someone that goes through the nutrition guidelines, goes through the food list technique, and then they'll progress nicely into the recipe list technique after that. You might have an individual that, like say, from the early doors after the consultation, you see that they are the type of individual that would benefit from the recipe list, whether they are very, very controlled instruction and the nutrition already very good, but just need to make a little bit of a jig here, or someone that you know by just how they're talking, what they've tried in the past, won't get on the other techniques and will prefer to go straight into a recipe list. The other individual is someone that actually might go through the nutritional guidelines bit, cleaned up their eating, and through that they're actually eating a lot of the right foods, but just might need to take that step further, and that's where it comes into recipe listing. Okay, why should you use the recipe list to actually with your clients? Well, I like the recipe list because it's a very simple, easy to follow system. It's just selecting the recipes, putting them in your day. It's easy to sit down and talk and coach with your clients about this. It's easy to modify the system. So what you can do is, if you've got a particular belief or a particular coaching setup, so if you're a big fan of carb cycling, you can actually use recipes to do that, where sometimes with meal plans, you're not going to get that. In terms of, like I've already mentioned, the setup in the guide is made up of 5 breakfasts, 5 lunch, 5 snacks, and 5 dinners. What you would do is you'd aim to sort of then use that setup to actually implement and coach the system. But before I get into the system, what I want to do is talk to you more about how I put together recipes, and how, if you want to create your own version of the recipe list, or even expand on the one in the guide, so it just allows you for a bit of longevity. So it also, like I say, the main reason why I want to teach this as well is because you might have different beliefs. So this is a system that can be used by people that believe in vegetarianism, people that believe in paleo, people who believe, like me, nutrient density, or people that believe in calorie restriction. This structure can be modified to suit each technique. The key thing I'm going to must make sure you sort of have from the recipe list technique, you need to make sure to remember that each recipe is not finite. They are examples. So when you're working with your clients, you want to make sure that they're aware of this as well, because it can be quite common that people will dislike a recipe based on an ingredient rather than the recipe itself. So someone not liking curries because of mushrooms in it. So you, as your status coach, should be able to get involved there and show variations and push people forward. So that's an example I would use, is kind of like a curry having one vegetable out of another. If you're going to create your own version, I would most probably stick to a similar setup of definitely 5 breakfast options in your recipe list. You need to make sure you have 5 snacks, 5 lunches. Where you might want to change is going anywhere up to 10 to 15 dinner ideas. There's only 5 in the guide, so you're more than welcome to add to this and add your own ones. Or similarly, you might want to go up to 15 of options, just to create variability and longevity in the process itself, so you can keep it going further down the line. So when I created the recipes in the recipe list, I do follow a very specific structure. This is what I call the Eat Right plate, which is my personal setup and structure. I use my nutritional coaching programs. The Eat Right plate is based similarly on a visual representation of what to eat. You might have heard of the Eat Well plate, which is what the government and the NHS recommend, which does have great ideas in there, but the trouble is that some of the aspects of the coaching, the science behind it, are very based on government and kind of financial backing rather than actually what is needed for an individual's health. So I've gone out and created my own Eat Right plate, and it's what I would use to structure and put all my meals together. So I'm going to take you through that process, and then I'm going to give you an example at the end of how I actually used it. So the first thing I'd always start with on a plate is a protein source. So you're looking for one protein source on your plate. I like to use the fist size and hand size methodology when I'm talking about portions. It's very specific to the individual, and it's easy to coach. So for a individual, I'm looking for a palm sized piece of protein in the meal. It can be from a variety of sources, whether that's things like chicken, other forms of poultry, fish, steak, beef, and even I would classify eggs, and on top of that also legumes, which is a great protein source for vegetarians as well. In terms of the next one I would look to have on the plate is a good solid fat source. The portion size is not as not as finite as the protein, because different fat sources come with different needs. But I'd make sure there's at least a protein source on there, fat source on there. So that could be something like the fats you use as dressing or oils you cook with. It could be vegetables like avocados and olives, which are great fat sources. It even can be things like nuts, seeds, and dairy. So obviously there's different portions. So kind of looking at tablespoons for fats and oils, a couple of them maybe, with the whole fruit for avocado and olives. Also cup sizes are quite good. And then things like your dairy you might want to control, and a handful of nuts and seeds. So there's different portion sizes. So there's no definitive right and way, but I'd make sure there is at least one fat source on the plate. The next thing I'd look to do is add 3 to 4 portions of vegetables on the plate. This is can follow the rainbow structure that most nutritionists use. I'm not a massive fan of that, because changing different colours can still miss out key vegetable groups. And I'd look to control those vegetables. The ones I use, so you just select 3 to 4 from this. So the first one would be cruciferous vegetables. This is things like broccoli, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, things like that, which are very good at supporting liver health, which is a very key organ when it comes to weight loss. And then look to have one brightly coloured vegetable in there. So that can be things like tomatoes, yellow peppers, purple aubergines. So some bright coloured vegetable that you can add to your plate that will give you a different range of nutrients, especially phytonutrients when it comes to colours. And have one dark leafy green vegetable like spinach or dark leaves or something like asparagus on the plate. Again, that provides get a good range of nutrients, things like calcium and iron in certain places. So it's a great nutrient dense option to have. I then look to have one from what we call the allium family, which is the onion family, or slash mushrooms on top of that. So that could be things like butter mushrooms. It could be things from the onion family like leeks, onions themselves, spring onions, shallots. I look to have one portion of those in there. They do help support the liver, and they're very, very strong in health in terms of detoxifying pathways. The last group of vegetables are your starchy vegetables. So this is things like potatoes and sweet potatoes. And again, I'll mostly be a bit more selective with these, and I'd mostly use them in line with an either sort of thing. So whether I have rice or a starchy vegetable, I wouldn't have looked to have both on the plate. So you've got that option there. So that's what I would call recovery carbohydrate. So again, something else you could have is fruit in there as well. So there are your vegetables. So out of those 5 options, I'd select between 3 to 4 to balance a recipe out. And the next thing I'd look at seasoning. So anything from 1 to 2 key seasons on there. The main reason why is when we are changing our nutrition, if we're on a diet of very high sugar, high processed fats, they provide the palatability, so the enjoyment of those foods. So what can happen is that if we change to these other foods, because our palate's been desensitized, we don't get to taste the food as much. So we need to improve that by adding seasoning and spices to it. Your taste buds do turn over, I think, every 6 weeks. So you can regain taste of normal foods then, but early doors, it's very key to have as much seasoning as you can in the meals. After that, any additional ingredients you want to add that actually support the making of the food. So, for example, if you're creating a stew, a stock might be added, things like vinegars or any other additional food that actually turns the recipe into what it's known for. So you might want to add them on top of it. And on my plate, you've also got drink ideas as well. So drink ideas for me is anything, considering it's early in the week, you want to get at least 2 litres of fluids on board. 50% of that needs to come from pure water. The rest can come from low caffeinated, low sugar options, and then any other drinks on top of that is optional. It's just sort of coaching around that. So kind of that's my Eat Right plate. So that's what I use to coach nutrition and show how people to put food together. And if you follow that structure, you can actually create a really strong recipe. So here's an example of one I did. I did a curry last weekend for when friends came down. So it was a coconut chicken curry. So in there, I used chicken, about a breast and a half for me, for my portion size. I then had the healthy fat sources of coconut oil, was what I was cooking it in, combined with coconut cream as the main liquid ingredient that also made the sauce. Vegetables I had in there, I had broccoli, I had sweet potato, I had onion, and I had green peppers. So again, that's providing a range of nutrients. I think she also had some spinach in there, so actually did chocolate full of extra extra vegetable ingredients, so don't be afraid to do that. So I had all that in there, and I did a bit of stock as well to help help bulk the sauce out so that it's going to reduce to thicken up. And then I used a tablespoon of a curry paste to give it that extra flavour, which was just a range of spices just put together. And that was my thing. So you see there how I've put that recipe together to form it. So moving on to that, so that's kind of how you would create your own recipe list and tells you a bit more about recipes. Now let's talk about the system that you put in place to actually coach this. So we start off first. So the first thing is completing a journal recap. So you might be a bit bored with this now because I do talk about it in the past, but it's the first step I go through every person, irrespective of what coaching system I use. And it's the key of that is to actually look at where they're at. It's so important to know their starting point. It helps them increase compliance of actually following some form of coaching program if they're actually knowing their starting point, because then what you can also do, you actually coach and provide advice and guidance based on them as an individual and based on big changes that generate big results and that help continue and spitball that process going forward. So that's something that's very key. In terms of how I would do it, I still use a food journal. It's one of the simplest systems to use. It still has its places. Tried others out there do work and they can work, but for me, food journal is just simple for you, and the clients are very aware, and not majority of them have already completed one in the past. So I like a simple food journal. We're not looking for much detail. So what I would do is I'd go through getting them to record what they're actually eating. I want to know how much, so rough portion size. I want to know when they're eating it. Because we're getting into the recipe list, I might want to go through advanced and know why they're eating things. So look at hunger scores, emotion scores, energy scores. Maybe I'll kind of want to also know a bit about the quality. So I might actually go through then and actually get a bit more detail on it, but it's not necessarily something that is needed early doors to assess. It might be something you might include later. So I'd want them to record this for the next 7 days. So I can actually sort of see the patterns and see what they're eating. Once I've done that, I'll be able to go into a assessment. So you would still complete like a nutritional guide assessment if it's the first time they're doing it. So it goes back to the last webinar, first webinar I did to learn more about that. If you want to make an assessment and see whether they can make the jump to recipe list straight away, what you need to do is just have a recipe list checklist questionnaire. And these are the questions I ask. I ask them, are they following the guidelines 100% of the time? So I need to make sure that all the guidelines are being checked. There's no point going for an advanced technique. They've still got things to work on. Are they getting the balance of foods from the food list, so the proteins, carbohydrates, and fats? Are they following the foods on there 80% of the time? Have their results slowed or stopped? And is the client getting on with the other techniques, nutritional guidelines, food lists? Have you already tried them? Now, if you answer mostly yeses to those, they are first so far down the line that they need this new kick in, they need this new structure to actually help their results to come in and help them to progress through their nutrition. The other way around is if someone answers all no's to it, again, they could use the recipe list technique. If they're not getting on with this system, they're not actually benefit from doing it, they're not following the guidelines, they too need a change of technique. They need this new coaching system to actually take them to that next level. So that's how I would assess whether someone's ready for the recipe list based on those 4 questions and those 2 variable answers. Once you identify the need for them to go in, what you need to do is you need to complete a recipe list plan. So the way you would do, you sit down with them with your recipe list and all the recipes in front of you, and you'll get them to pick 2 breakfast options from your list, 2 lunch options, 2 snack options if they need to snack, and then 5 dinner options. Okay. Once you've got that, you want to make it clear to them again. I'm going to reiterate that they must make sure that they're aware that if the recipes can still be modified, and that's your role as a coach to sit down there and suggest alternatives of protein sources if they're, again, for like a vegetarian, or alternatives for vegetable options if they don't like broccoli, so you can create variations in there. Once they've done that, the handout I'm going to send out post sending this out, all you need to do is use that to write down those options on there, make the variations that they need to on there as well, and suggest like-for-like replacements of those variations, and then get them to record everything on the handout. And then you give them that to follow. So it's a very loose plan that they can still modify, but they've got awareness of what foods they can have for each day. And they've got awareness of why they're choosing those foods as well at this point. Once they've got that, you want them to continuously track. And all they need to do is on that plan that they've done, they just need to write down any modifications, so anything they had that they didn't have, any changes they made to the recipes, and just track that. And then you've got a way to coach and sit down at the end of every week and compare what they are having with what they haven't had. And I would mostly do this still on a weekly basis with them, and maybe look to refresh things every 2 weeks. Okay, so that's about the recipe list technique. That's something I really is great to use. It's a great way to, like I say, it's the coaching element, which is good to that next level and start seeing those next set of results. Now, I know a lot of people have asked me how to do meal plans. They want to know more about meal planning. I'm happy to do that. I still feel the recipe list technique is a better version of a meal plan that helps. But if you want to go down the meal plan route and kind of utilize that, I'm going to have a bit of a discussion about that. So meal planning is just a very structured, almost prescriptive, which is kind of open yourself to a bit of challenges and trouble there, version of the recipe list. So it's pre-made out, it's irrespective of what the person is eating, and it's just a structure that follows a breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snack options with all the foods included in there. Before I talk more about how I put that together and what you should look over it in a day and a week, I need to sort of maybe highlight why I like the recipe list technique. So what are the drawbacks of the meal plan? And also I need to look at maybe what the benefits of the meal plan. So if you do choose to use it, how you can work around those drawbacks. Now, so the first thing, the drawbacks, it's not guaranteed to work even the super healthy. So this is people that will follow it 100% and don't get results. And the issue behind this is the personalisation or the lack of education around. So the times they don't follow the meal plan or go off it, or if they do add things, make changes, it could be enough to halt their progress. So it's not a guarantee to work meal plan. Whether it is, it can work in a small subset, but not definitely guaranteed. So only a select population will actually get on with the meal plan. So some people do like to be told, like I was mentioning at the start, and will do well on it. Others just don't like that. They just can't get on with following stuff. They like the flexibility and variability, especially if they're one of these people that go away a lot or they go out a lot. They find it a real challenge to follow something like this. As I mentioned, they're very non-specific, generic coaching. It's a kind of follow this or fail mentality. So it's very hard to sort of personalize it. So for some individuals who have a different lifestyle and don't eat that way, it's kind of like trying to use a mallet to bang a square peg in a round hole sort of thing. It's trying to fit into their lifestyle, where the recipe list technique can be a little bit more easier because you're sitting down working with them, you can actually fit it around their lifestyle. When it comes to meal plans, there's a higher risk of plateau. So if you give them everything to follow really early at the bat, their body will make large-scale changes and get these great results, but because the body will then start to try and balance itself and get into a place of efficiency, and they can just end up plateauing. The other type of people that don't get onto are what I call non-specific populations. So people who react to foods, who have aversion sensitivities, or people that have specific health conditions, they're not very well supported on their meal plan unless you go away and then create another meal plan. So one of the big challenges of meal plans is that you might need to create multiple versions to use with multiple clients. And that's one of the limitations. So they're the drawbacks of meal planning. So what are the benefits of it? Why would you do it? One of the massive benefits is, like I mentioned just not long ago, is that people can make large-scale changes and get large-scale results on it. So meal plan is an easy way to get some easy points on the board, because they will follow a specific way of eating that will produce massive change. I'm not a big fan of that, because then, like I say, the risk of plateau is a lot greater, but it could be good to use something early doors like this just to get some results on the board to get people to sign up. You can actually coach with a meal plan, so you can use it as builders. So get them to focus on one aspect of the meal plan each week. So just bring breakfast first, so try and follow the breakfast on the meal plan. Once they've got that down, let's look at the snacks, then progress to the lunches. So it can have that weekly or bi-weekly progressions, and it can introduce coaching. One of the big benefits is you're guaranteed to get plenty of nutrients. So if you follow the recipe and the weekly structure I'm going to go through in a minute, you're guaranteed to bring a lot of nutrients into someone's eating early bats and get them up to a very high level very quickly. So that's a real positive from a health perspective. Meal plans are great marketing tools. So it's just sort of venturing out of the nutrition thing, but doing meal plans and getting people to sign up to your email database in exchange for a free meal plan. So again, through my earlier limitations, not guaranteed to work. So you're not got worried about getting stuff away for free, but it's a great way to get people to jump on your mailing list, offering competitions on Facebook to win a copy of your meal plan. Again, is a great way of using that meal plan for alternative purposes. Another good way is it actually helps with the sales process, so the actual consultation and taste process. If you've got example meal plans that you can sit down and show your clients of how you can going to change their tweets and what they're going to build up to. And if you do that really well in terms of making it specific to their goal, linking in with it's a step-by-step coaching process and linked in the nutrition guide and show them all of that, then it can actually add to the power that actually I'm getting a trainer that actually knows a lot about nutrition. It's really going to support me well. So it actually helps with that process and give your product value. The last one is that meal plans can be a great coaching technique if the coaching's strong. And I think that's the take-home message. If you're going to go down the meal planning route, please make sure you coach the meal plans, not just give them out. Okay, so what I want to do now is help you guys. Just going to take a step back, so I'll talk a bit more about that coaching. So coaching is key. So don't worry about giving someone a meal plan and then writing all over it by adding modifications, by changing ingredients, changing recipes. Both with meal plans and the recipe list, once you've given the plan, make sure you also give the recipes away with them so they can go away and make them well. That's the key thing that I forgot to mention earlier, but make sure of that. Okay, so the last step in the process is if you're going to go into this meal plan, so you can follow on for recipe list or you can skip recipe list and go straight to meal plan if it's the opportunity or the coaching system you want to use. So meal plans, they should be a 1 week handout of every food and drink you want your client to consume in a week. It should be based on nutrition density and should help to support their goal, and it should help a majority of populations out there. So that's very key. So you've got to make sure that it is very nutrient dense. I'm always going to focus on real food options, single ingredients when I do it. I'm going to talk a bit more about basing how I structure the meal plan in a minute, and I'll also give you an example at the end to show you how my meal plan would look. Now, the key thing is, just like the recipe list, you want to make sure your meal plan is very simple. If your meal plan is too complex, it can be a headache for people to follow. So what I mean by this is, just like the recipe list, you want to make sure on your meal plan there's only about 2 to 3 breakfast options a week, 2 to 3 lunch ideas, unless you clear leftovers is one of those options, 2 to 3 snack ideas, depending on how often you want your clients to have snacks or given the opportunity to have snacks, and 5 to 6 dinner options. I'll explain a bit more about in a minute when I go through why it is very key to keep things very simple. But it just makes life easier for you when it comes to planning, but also makes life easier for your client as well. So the key thing is always variety. So we want a range of nutrients from a range of sources. So we're going to break down each one. So I'm going to start with protein. So with your protein sources, you want to be getting at least 3 to 4 portions of protein a day. So that's breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and a healthy protein snack. Okay. In terms of the variety, is limited. So what you want to make sure is in each week you have 1 white meat option, 1 red meat option, and 1 fish option. Eggs can be very supplementary to that, so I'm not going to classify them. The reason why is you've got your lean meats and therefore your white meats, which kind of gives it that a lot of people do like. Red meats give a whole different range of nutrients in there, and your fish for your omega-3s is a very, very healthy option to have. The reason why I only say 1 of each is mainly to make it easy to bulk buy and bulk make food, and also then it becomes that challenge. So if you've got too many different meats and things like that, it can be quite expensive, it can be quite annoying, quite little bits left over in here and there. So I do get a bit of repetition over the week, and definitely with the meat. So I might have chicken, salmon, and beef for my options this week, and then I might look to change it going forwards. For vegetarians, going into the route of pulses and other kind of meat alternatives is another way to support them on this process, but I still want to get as much protein in every meal. Other than protein, we're going to look at fat. So again, I want 3 to 4 portions of fat per day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, easily done, and then possibly a high-fat snack option or an ingredient that you add to your snack option as well. Can be quite helpful. Great range of sources, so I've mentioned really these, so cooking oil, dressings, avocados, olives, dairy, nuts and seeds. The latter two, so dairy, nuts and seeds, you might want to propose some form of control and not go overkill on the week, just for the pure reason that we don't want to bias. And again, for some people, do find dairy a challenge to actually their weight loss. Next section is carbohydrates. So I'd look for 6 to 10 portions of vegetables per day. A lot of people say, well, that's quite a lot. If we look at it, 2 portions of vegetables for breakfast, 3 for lunch, 4 for dinner, and possibly carrot sticks as like a snack option, there you go, you've got your 10 there. So it doesn't sound too bad. And a lot of people will easily get them for lunch and dinner. Breakfast is a very novel concept to get them in, but it can be done quite simply, and snack options for vegetables can be quite easy. So in terms of, I would also, under that one, put your post-strain carb sources, so your recovery carbohydrates, so things like white rice, quinoa, if you use it. On top of that, things like sweet potatoes, and also things like fruit. I'd most really try and limit them over the week and not go too crazy. Maybe look at some of the protocols that show you how you can manipulate them. With fruit, I definitely would control at least 2 portions a week, and I'd most probably back-end it in terms of go for more things like berries, which have got higher nutrient value, rather than something that's got a high sugar value and low nutrients, even though most fruit can be great for us. But overkill for like most healthy products, there's still an opportunity to OD on good stuff that can now make it bad. Okay, the other thing is drinks. So I'd also make sure drinks are on my menu. So again, following the same idea of 2 litres of hydration per day. In most individuals, some can get away with less depending on their body shape. Some might need to get more, especially if they're doing high intensive training. But definitely looking at 50% water, at least 50% from non-sugar and low caffeinated products, and then any teas and coffees in amongst that as well, if it's something you want to coach with. Optional foods that you could more or might get into fermented products, so things like your pickled beetroots and things like that, which are come with a great source of bacteria that are very beneficial to our gut health. Spices as well, make sure there's plenty of spices out of the wheat to bring that flavour, and then just any sort of supporting nutrients with that. So that's how I would look to have my meal plan in that. If you notice it's not very analytical and numerical, I don't feel it needs to be. You're not going to have your clients do this long term, so you need to make sure you're coaching a system. Just be aware and maybe look to fine tune. So ask clients how they feel after certain meals, how do they feel over the week, track their results and look into that, and then just maybe fine tune your meal plans to go with it. So I said I'd go for an example meal plan. So this is one that I'll give my clients as an example to inspire them and to help show them how I put together my meal plans, especially good for at consultations. So for my 2 breakfast options that I have in my this first meal plan are vegetable DFD eggs. That's a great green vegetable source in there, great healthy fat source and protein source in the eggs. And then I might combine that with another option of egg and bacon muffins. So again, there's chock full of vegetables, there's 2 portions, onions and peppers, some chili flakes to give it a bit of flavour. And you've got your healthy fat source and butter that I use to cook it in, and then the fat source and protein source comes from the egg. So that's like breakfast options. So my 2 large options, I do like a leftovers. That's a great way of getting some nutrients in there, bulk buy and making stuff at the end, tubbing out a little bit and taking it to work another day. So it's a great way. If people aren't interested, I've got the alternative wrap, which is using large lettuce leaves to make a wrap. So you've got your vegetable there for your lettuce leaves, and then in the filling, so I might add chicken, might have some homemade sauces in there, or might use just things like a bit of Frank's red hot sauce. I might put that in there, and then I'd have 2 or 3 extra vegetables in there as well. I'd make a couple of them up just for taste. My snack options, I've got roasted cinnamon nuts. Cinnamon's a great way to stabilise blood sugar. Having nuts is a great protein fat source. Nutty fruity yogurt is another option, so a yogurt that I provide, but I get them to add nuts to it, to add extra fats to it rather than adding more sugar to it in terms of things like honey and fruit. And then lamb koftas, and this is just kind of leftover meat from my dinner meals. I might use it to make an option for just a nice rolled up protein with some mince, and then use maybe some cucumber and yogurt dip to go with it. So just a nice quick and easy protein filled snack option that keeps us healthy. with your dinners. So basically I've gone for lamb and I've gone for chicken, prawns and cod as my options for the things. So I've got prawns and necklace. It's quite an easy one to add on there. So I've got a meaty vegetable lasagna. So I use leeks to line it with a variety of foods in there. A chicken vegetable bake. So just a whole lot of vegetables that I use throughout the week, thrown in the tray with some chicken and then some oil and spices on top. Thai prawn curry. Again, very simple and easy thing to do. Great to have cold as well. Lamb meatballs in a tomato sauce, so like a spaghetti bolognese, what people are common with. And then tomato and baked cod, a very light, quick, easy meal, especially for those that come in late in the evening, don't want to eat lots. Just having tomatoes, I think cows on there, and some cod, nicely cooked, quick, very, very easy and tasty. Last thing we're going to is drinks. So I've got a couple of black teas and coffees on there for my meal plan, and then mainly water and citrus water, about 4 500 bottles worth of it, using lime to give the water a bit of flavour, just to keep it that varied, encouraging my client to drink through that as much as possible. Okay, and that's an example meal plan that I would use and put together a good client. Given that, I also create a shopping list based on that meal plan so they can just go out and buy it to make it even more simpler. Okay, so that's the end of the webinar. So what I'm going to do now is just going to go through and talk more about some of the questions that you guys asked. So if you've got any questions for me, just put them into the message board and any topics you want me to discuss. In terms of what we're looking for now, if you've not got questions, I'm going to go through some of my own that are many common questions that I might have. So question number one is, what if the client doesn't get on with meal plans? So if the client doesn't get on with meal plans, then you might need to review some of the actions first. So have they done guidelines? Have they done food lists? If they haven't, let's take them back and work on that. And then if they have done that and they're not getting on with meal plans, it might be it's just too much too soon. So you might break it down to do that whole segmented coaching. So focus on including meal plans first, including like breakfast options first, and then building it up until that. Some people, if they're not getting on it, it might be a mindset thing. So you might have to take a step back away from food and find out why they're not getting on with this, why they're not getting on that, how they're eating, how they why do they go for those foods, what's their life like, and kind of maybe even go down and find out what's worked for them in the past. So don't be afraid to break your own beliefs to actually support these guys. So if you're trying to get them to eat healthily but they don't like cooking and they're always busy, don't be afraid to go out to these meal replacement companies, and there's some great good ones at the moment, and go down that route if it feels that's one of the best options for them. Okay, that kind of bleeds into what if it's not working as well. So I would actually sit down and review in detail, get them to do another 7-day journal, find out what's happening. Is there something bigger at place? Is there a health reason that they might need to go see a nutritional therapist to actually go down and look at whether their hormones are balanced? Is their lifestyle having an impact? Is their training too much? So this could be a secondary factor, not down to nutrition, why it's not working. It might be the strategy you're using is not right for them, so you might need to look at different beliefs. If you are having challenges, don't hesitate to contact me and have a chat with me, and it might be something we can do to make changes to your clients actually to get that next step. It could even be allergies and versions of just some foods don't get on with people. So they're eating all healthy, but they've got certain foods in, could be affecting their gut health and just stopping them absorbing and utilising nutrients, and just putting the body in a very kind of inflamed state, which can actually halt and prevent weight loss further. So that's kind of the first two. The other one I've got is how often should I change a meal plan? So I do like to follow a meal plan for 2 weeks. It allows me to track progress within a meal plan. It allows me to track, see if common things come up if I don't agree with it. Then after 2 weeks, I might change it to keep it interesting. If you do have an individual that gets like they like a breakfast and they don't want to change, don't be afraid to leave them on it if it's definitely helping them. Only change things if there's a need for the change, because you might have an individual that has a very set structured way of eating and they can continue doing that. We're running out of time, so I'll just get this last question in before we go. So what happens if you're not a good cook? So I'm okay cook. I'm not the best. I'm not saying gourmet standard, but one thing I've done is I've tried to learn how to cook. So first thing is experiment with yourself. Try to cook new foods every week. Use other chefs to inspire you. So go and look at their recipes, sit down, try and work it out. Learn how, if you're going to substitute ingredients, so if you're going to take away flours from ways to thicken sauce, learn how to thicken sauces. There's loads of information on the web that can show you how to cook, just kind of have to find the right way. And even you might want to take one step further and go to a cooking course and learn how to cook yourself, so you can help support your clients. So there's lots of things you can do now out there to help support this process. Okay, I'm going to leave it there now, guys. So thanks for your time today. And that's the end of the Nutrition Guide webinar series. I'm going to do one more at the end of the year, and that's on a very key service style system of aftercare. So how to support your clients when they're thinking of leaving your services, and how key that could be in terms of retention and also returning clients. If you do have any more topics you want me to cover, please email them to me. I think I've got 2 or 3 that I'm planning for next year already, but I'm looking for another 2 to 3 topics. So if there's something you specifically want me to cover, then please let me know. Okay, guys, thanks for today, and I hope to be seeing you soon. Thanks.